YouTube. Today we are going to try spaghetti with meat and sauce. Main entree from an MRE packaged in 2002, day 31. So I got it on the stove and I'm heating it up and we're gonna give it a shot. So here it is. It's in its thingy here and water's getting good and warm. The trick to these, and you're going to ask me, I know it's going to be in the comments, what is that little piece of aluminum under there doing in there? Well, frying pans are really the only pots big enough to actually throw an MRE entree into, unless you have a coffee percolator. If you have a perk pot, you can stand it straight up and the thing will sit in it perfectly, and it won't touch the bottom enough to damage the food. The little sheet of aluminum has been crumpled up and then straightened out, and it provides, it's like a jar rack in a canner. It provides some protection to the package that will keep it from burning the contents of the of it, and also because this is laminated with a plastic, it's an aluminum package that is laminated on either side with plastics and thermostabilized food inside. Now a lot of people say, 2002, what are you, crazy? You'd be surprised how long these thermostabilized foods last. The taste? We'll just say the taste is, it can be anywhere from, you could fix a wall with this stuff to, it's actually surprisingly good. Now the spaghetti with meatballs and sauce, they vaguely, I don't know how to explain. It's kind of like Chef Boyardee. It's not quite as good, but you got to also think that this stuff is packaged to last. So through some of the processing, some of the flavor is lost. Newer MREs I wouldn't try this with, because the newer ones, they don't process them supposedly as much because they want more of the flavor, but that really diminishes their shelf life. And I have a whole stack of main entrees in there that are reaching the end of their shelf life, and I'm hoping by the end of December to have all those gone. They typically go about, they'll go 5 or so years, and then they're inspected, and then they can go another 3 years. But these had never had an inspect date stamped on them. They just have the original dates. So that's what the little 2013 and marker on it was. I've inspected them all, and there's no swelling. There was like a few. There's 25% of them were swollen. That is a defect in manufacturing. The fact that there's any swelling at all says that there were still bacteria alive at the time of packaging. Properly thermostabilized food will not swell, no matter how old it gets. It's just like canned food, in that if everything is killed out of there, nothing can grow in there. The only thing that happens, supposedly, your food value drops into the toilet and the taste goes to hell, but a properly preserved packet will last years and years and years. Like I said though, you know, past a certain date, its food value is compromised. But this is good. It's hot to the touch. You don't want to boil it, but you do want it to sit hot to the touch. And then just pry it out with your MRE spoon, and I believe I got one right here. I keep those around. I'll say this, military makes a good spoon. It's a plastic spoon, but the thing is tough. It's almost like non-throwaway plasticware. You know, stuff like you would use with children or in rough environments. I've had these things last upwards of a year, and they'll wash. They'll go through a dishwasher. I've actually put them through a dishwasher, and they don't mess up. But anyway, let's get on to the main part of what this video was filmed for. One of the things that happens with these is when you heat them, if you eat them cold, the meal stays pretty solid in there. That tells me there's probably a lot of grease or fat in these, I don't know. But when you heat these, the meal actually gets soft and will drop to the bottom of the bag, which makes it possible by these notches to rip the bag open and enjoy the food that is packaged within. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to eat this MRE, which was packaged in 2002. 2002, so that makes it what? This is 10 years old. But here's what I was saying, once you cook it, the other thing that happens is these get kind of tough to rip. Something in the heating process makes these a little tough to open. But we are going to try now this entree, which I have heated up. And doesn't smell bad. I smell, oops, it's got tomato sauce on me. There's marinara in that. It smells like oregano. Just gotta stir it up and get the contents good. Yeah. It's very hot to hold in your hand. That's why I didn't heat it too far. I could put it on a plate, but just to show you that I am actually eating the MRE. This one is spaghetti, meat, and sauce. And we'll see. Sometimes when these get this old, they get kind of bitter tasting. Now let's see what happens. Not bad for 10-year-old food. The dog has come and sat down. Thinks I'm going to give it some. That's good stuff right there. Some people say these things taste really bad. I eat these things all through Scouts. I don't have a problem with them. They're pretty awesome food. Thing you got to watch out for in these older ones, though. I don't know what they put in them, but some of these will leave a very, very strong bitter taste in the back of your mouth. One case in point is the big omelets that they design in a big single package that you put on a fire or some source of heat. That was the nastiest thing I ever ate. The egg meal, eggs and ham. It was almost like they filled it with alum. It just shrunk the backs of our mouths closed. Very nasty. But this is good. So I don't know what people complain about. It's not bad food. It's not the best food. It's not bad food either. It's supposed to get cooler tonight. Supposed to get cooler tonight. They say we're going to have temperatures down in the 50s. Oh, there's the back of the mouth thing. Not so bad though. A lot of these early meals have that for some reason. I usually don't have that problem with them, though. It is a messy way to eat. Eating out of a bag. But all in all, not too bad. You can definitely taste the preservatives. There's another thing about MREs they don't talk about, or you hear very little about, and I don't know what it is, or why this is the case, but they tell people if you're recovering from surgery, you're not supposed to eat these, which I would think that would be kind of a bad thing, because the amount of nutrients they pack into these things, these things would speed a person's recovery, you would think. That's not too bad. I've almost finished it. You can get these at Army Navy surplus stores Always check the inspection date, what the last date was on it. The spaghetti, pretty good. Anything with spaghetti or pasta in it, you can't go wrong. They usually taste about like Chef Boyardee. But stay far away from, let's see, I'm trying to think of some that are extremely bad. Anything with the word omelet in it, stay way the hell away from that. Yeah, those are pretty disgusting. But you'll do better. There's different ways they're sold. You can get the entire MRE, which has like a main dish, a side dish, some other little sides, a dessert, utensils. They come with those little bottles of Tabasco. Not every one of them comes with Tabasco anymore. And if you're lucky and you like coffee, you get the ones that come with a little packet of Nescafe Taster's Choice. But if you're really lucky, you'll get the ones that come with the old Taster's Choice before Nescafe bought them out. That's good tasting coffee. The Nescafe version of it, it's kind of like paint varnish. But the early version of Taster's Choice, back when they were their own company, those were awesome. And they make a good cup of coffee. Comes with like some cream, sugar, a few other things. If you don't get the coffee, it'll come with like iced tea mix. They also come with like beverage powder mixes. One of the mixes is cocoa powder. Supposedly the strawberry dairy shake had been recalled because they were contaminated. So don't do that. But you should be all right with the chocolate and the vanilla dairy shake. You should be fine. Anything but strawberry. Get them as fresh as you can. The way you can tell the age on an MRE, if you look at the date code on the packaging. Okay, first, stay away from any dark colored ones. The dark brown ones or the dark green ones. Those are like 90s era MREs. Stay way the heck away from those. The tan ones, you're a little safer. Like I said, look at the date code. The first, you'll have a digit on there. You'll have a number stamped on it. Then it'll read something like, an example, 6023. That would be 2006 on the 23rd day. It goes year, it's the last digit of the year, which they should extend that where it's 2 digits instead of 1, because there's a lot of stuff slipping through that people think is later on, but it's actually earlier on. Like you'll get a 9056 or something like that. Is it 99 or is it 2009? That's why they need to fix that convention on those. But that's how you can tell how old they are. You'll have a main date stamped on the tan package. I think they're tan now. All the newer ones are light tan. Ever since Desert Storm. They'll have a number, and that's what it'll be. It'll be 4 digits, and anything after that is just, I don't know what all that is, but the first 4 digits tell you when it's been packed. So, like this one was 2031, I think is what it said. So this was 31st day of 2002. And that doesn't, as long as the package is not swollen, it's usually good. Swelling denotes a catastrophic failure of the product. That means when it was manufactured, they didn't kill everything in it. Theoretically, these should never swell. Once they're packaged, they've had all the pathogens killed out of them. It's basically sterile food. It's the same as if you pressure can food. It's just the vessel that it's stored in is flexible. When you get them, you want to inspect for some things. The things you want to look for. This seal should never be compromised. It should have at least 1/4 of an inch all the way around, but it should never be compromised in any way. And you also want to look for cracks or splits in the packaging. Any kind of damage like that. not necessarily a thing to determine that it should be thrown away. But a degraded seal, just like on a jar, if the seal is degraded in any way, you don't want to eat that. Just get rid of it. It's not worth your health. The ways you can tell if these are swollen, they just swell up. They inflate. You know, bacterial action causes gases to be released and the package will swell. But if the package is drawn down good and tight on the food and there's no evidence of pressure inside the package, you should be good. I mean, the only thing about it is the older they get, the more bland they get, and they do take on a bitterness as they age. But when you get one of these fresh, they're actually not bad. Now, they do get to a point where they're not edible. And what I mean by that is, I don't know what the chemical is that's in these or what, but when you eat one, down at the base, in the back of your mouth, at the base of your tongue, it feels like you got 1,000 needles down there. It's like eating sand. That's how you know when you got a really old one and you don't need to keep that any longer, you know. Or just spit it out, throw it away if you don't like it. It's not anything wrong with it. It's kind of like trying to eat alum, you know. But and that's kind of how the omelet meals almost always do. As like I said, stay away from the omelet entree. I know that they exist out there, and everybody who's ever eaten them has found them extremely objectionable. The omelet and the ham slab. That's the other one I was going to say. The ham slab is supposedly terrible. But these are all right. A really good one, chicken with noodles and vegetables and sauce. Or chicken with noodles and vegetables. That's an awesome thing. It's almost like chicken soup, but it's thicker. It's pretty good. You can eat it with a spoon or a fork. Heat it up. It's all right. My wife likes the tortellini and cheese. That's really good. If you like pastas, those are awesome. And that's a vegetarian meal. There's several vegetarian meals. The other one you can look for, and they're kind of hard to get, but every now and then one turns up, is HDRs, the Humanitarian Daily Ration. These are basically the meals that are thrown out of planes over third world countries in mass, you know, when they're doing a recovery effort or a rescue effort or humanitarian aid. Every once in a while, one of those will turn up in a surplus store, and you can pick them up. Another place to get MREs, you can go on eBay. It's like I said, they have an extremely long shelf life, but when they get to the end of what they're rated for, that's when you should start thinking about eating them, because they do get bad tasting as they age. And a lot of these reviews, these people you see eating MREs on television, not television, YouTube, that are complaining about the way they taste, if you watch the video closely and you look on the bag they open, it's some archaic date code. That's why. This stuff gets worse the more it ages. So get your reasonably fresh one. Within 5 to 6 years, you should be finishing it off. You know, that's seems to be where the break point is as far as flavor and usability. Once you get to about 6 years, a lot of things start to mess up. All of the dry goods, a lot of times in the accessory packs, they start to solidify. Instead of being powders, they'll be like hunks of something. Don't eat that. That's not good for you. And what causes that failure, 9 times out of 10, is when they package these things, they put a moist towelette in there with that stuff. And the packaging of the moist towelette over years of time will fail eventually. The moisture gets out and contaminates all the powdered dry goods except for the stuff that's freeze-dried in plastic wrap or in plastic pouches. So that's just something to watch for. Don't eat that stuff if it's done that. But theoretically, you could eat these. Hell could freeze over and you could still eat these things. But will you enjoy them? Don't know. Don't think so. I've eaten some pretty old ones. I had a 15-year-old one of these. It was before I knew how to read the date codes properly, and I thought I was getting a reasonably new one. And you know, it actually tasted pretty good. It didn't degrade. You know, and that was an accident. So I know these things can go the long haul. You know, Also, the other thing, when you buy MREs and when you store them in the coolest place in your house without freezing them. Don't freeze them. But the colder, just a few degrees difference in temperature on these can add years to their life. You know, they actually have an expiration graph that shows what happens. It's a time temperature graph that shows you how long you can keep it. There's an old one and a new one. They say not to use the old one because back in the days when that graph was created, MREs had mostly freeze-dried parts, you know, aside from the main entree. But nowadays, because they're looking for taste over nutrients in a lot of them, they're not processed quite the way they were back then. So you have to watch the shelf life on the newer ones. You know, kind of adhere to it loosely. It's not religious, but, you know, from what I found, like I said, you can get about 6 years on these. Any more than that, and, you know, good luck to you, my friend. I wouldn't eat that because it's just, unless I had to really survive, because that stuff is just nasty once you get past 6 years. Unless you're lucky, like I was, and the old 15-year-old one I had, it was preserved the different way, the earlier way, and the food actually kept longer. And I think that's why it tasted better. So, well, anyway, I just wanted to show you all that. You know, this is pretty much what we went through Ike on. We survived through Hurricane Ike on meals ready to eat. Got a whole stack of those single entree, you know, just the pieces out of there that were, for me, the meat and potatoes of it, you know. I don't care about the side dishes and the desserts, you know. We were able to get a stack of those from the Army-Navy surplus store, well, the Army surplus store before all of that stuff happened. And that carried us on 14 days. 14 days. But anyway, I'll let y'all go now. And y'all have a good one, YouTube.